Rise for a pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. We have,
Roll call.
oh, yeah, that would help. Yeah, welcome, everybody. Can we have a roll call?
Jeff Ranahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Jessica Lopez, Third Ward.
Matthew Williver, Fifth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Alicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson will be here shortly. John Baisley, Supervisor for the town. Tonight's agenda, we have 4 public hearings in the beginning. The first public hearing will be for Raymond Avenue School. We're going to open that public hearing. If there's anybody here that wants to comment on it, and we're going to adjourn it probably till the we will be adjourning till March 21st. Make a motion to open public hearing number 1.
Second. So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody here to discuss public hearing number 1, Raymond Avenue School? Come on up, Mary Ann.
Mary Ann Axman. I'm at 111 Fulton Avenue. And I was happy to hear that the Arthur S. May School was deemed historic and was going to be kept the way it is. But I do have some concerns about the project that's being proposed at that area. It's my understanding that there were some text changes to the zoning law that made this an anchor project, which increases the density of the bulk requirements for that area versus everything else in the town. 2 buildings are proposed to go up in front of the Arthur S. May School, commercial on the bottom, residential on the upper floors, and then another building behind it, which would have a parking garage and then residential facilities. If you come off of Main Street, look to your left and to your right, and drive down Raymond Avenue, you will see that there are 15 empty storefronts. So we're proposing, and I don't know how many there are, at the bottom of these 2 buildings, commercial storefronts. When you come off of the arterial in front of the Arthur S. May School, there is no parking. That's 2 lanes that merge into one. There's no parallel parking there. Across the street, there's Chan's Restaurant and Thai Spice, and most of the people who go to that park in the parking lot for the Arthur S. May School and walk across the street. It's just more convenient to get in and out that way. We don't have any private parking lots where people can go and park their cars. So there's no parking in front of these stores. There's no commercial parking lots where they can put their vehicles. So they have to park in the parking area where this proposal is. Upstairs, there will be apartments. For studio apartment, 1 parking place is proposed. For multiple units with multiple bedrooms, each bedroom gets 3/4 of a parking space. So you 2 live in an apartment and you get 1.5 parking spaces. And you 2 live in an apartment and get 2-bedroom apartment and get 1.5 parking spaces. Everybody goes to work, everybody comes home, somebody's without a parking space. So there's not enough parking proposed for all of the units that are there. The owners or employees of the commercial units will have to park in the parking places behind these buildings. There's no room for guests. There's no room for the patrons who are going to these stores. They've increased the amount of ground coverage, but they haven't allowed for the people who are going to use it. There's a small parcel of land that the school purchased years ago to the south end of the property. I believe that's being considered as part of the whole when the bulk requirements are being considered, and it shouldn't be because it's a separate parcel. If you were to come into the parking area and drive in front of Arthur S. May and behind these proposed buildings and go to the right, there's 39 feet. The fire trucks have to go in and around, and it shows that they can't make that turn. They have to back up and then go around, and then there's another building proposed behind it. Well, behind that building is proposed an in-ground pool. The fire trucks can only go up to the pool. How are they going to accommodate the people on the other end of that building if there's a fire? We have Vassar Garden Apartments behind it. There's a lot of Section 8. We have College View Apartments. There's empty apartments there. There's empty houses. There's empty apartments in our town. Pizzeria Uno, Creek Road, Golden Corral. There's a lot of empty spaces, and I'm just concerned that they've overpopulated this area and they're not going to be able to fill the spaces. In addition, it's my understanding that after this is all built, they want to subdivide it into 3 separate parcels. My concern is each parcel has to have its own infrastructure. There has to be water and sewer to the first parcel, the second parcel, and the third. If it's not subdivided before this project is undertaken, then we're sharing services. And what's the repercussions there? That's a potable water system, and that's a big concern to me, too. So I just think that there's a lot to be thought about before we say, yes, let's go ahead with this project. I don't think there's enough parking. I don't know if we'll draw the people in. There's a lot of vacant space, and there's a lot to be considered. So I just wanted to get you on board with my concerns. Thank you for
Mary.
your time.
Anybody else like to discuss this public hearing? If not, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this public hearing to March 21st,
So moved.
2018. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Public hearing number 2 is on Town Code Amendment, Chapter 183, Veterans Exemption. Make a motion to open public hearing number 2.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody here to discuss public hearing number 2 on the Veterans Exemption? Going once, going twice. Nobody? Now, can I make a motion to close public hearing number 2?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Being enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to a public hearing held on February 21st, 2018 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby adopt amendments to Town Code Chapter 183, Article 3, 183-9, specifically 183-9F, which amendments are as follow, with the words underlined to be added and those words stricken to be deleted. 183-9F, additional Cold War veterans provision. This subsection provides for a 15% exemption of assessed value of the properties in an amount not to exceed $12,000, and further provides for an exemption for disabled veterans not to exceed $40,000, which exemptions shall apply to qualifying owners of qualifying real property for as long as they remain qualifying owners without regards to a 10-year limitation. Be it further enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has determined that this action is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review, and be it further enacted that the legal notice of the public hearing was posted on February 15, 2018, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on February 16, 2018, and be it further enacted that the said local law shall take effective immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this? The only thing is, this had a 10-year timeframe where it ran out. Now they've changed it. Now it's just going to run forever now. We didn't change any exemptions as far as percentage or anything like that. We just changed the date to how long it goes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
6-0.
6-0. 7's coming. Public hearing number 3 is Town Code Amendment 148, Parks and Recreation. Make a motion to open public hearing number 3.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing number 3 is on Parks and Recreation Amendment. Anybody to discuss that one? Nobody? If not, can I make a motion to close public hearing number 3?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 3, be it enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to a public hearing held on February 21st, 2018 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby adopt amendments to the Town Code Chapter 148 entitled Parks and Recreation. And be it further enacted that the amendments are attached hereto and incorporated herein, with the language to be added underscored and the language to be selected, deleted, stricken. And the town board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendments and does direct that said amendments be spread across the record as if it, in fact, had been read verbatim. And be it further enacted that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie has determined that this is a type 2 action requiring no environmental review, and be it further enacted that the legal notice of a public hearing was posted on February 15, 2018, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on February 16, 2018. And be it further enacted that said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this one?
Actually, I just wanted to point out that this actually came to the rec department as a recommendation from the soccer club. And obviously, we don't want our children playing on a soccer field and finding little doggy surprises left there for them. And it's becoming a problem. And it's sadly one of these situations where a few people who don't clean up after their dog make it bad for other people. So it's just a necessary step we need to take. And also, I want to say we're not anti-dog, and we're going to be talking about adding dog parks to some of our pocket parks.
Good idea.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Who seconded that? I missed it.
Jeff?
Jeff Renahan.
Okay, thank you.
Public hearing number 4, Town Code Amendment, Chapter 57-105, a dog enumeration. Make a motion to open public hearing number 4.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody with any questions on public hearing number 4? If not, a motion to close public hearing number 4.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, pursuant to a public hearing held on February 21st, 2018, at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, does hereby adopt amendments to the Town of Poughkeepsie Code relating to animals at Chapter 57, specifically Article 3, 57-20C, entitled Fees and Surcharges, 57-21D, 5, entitled Issuance of License, Identification Tag, and Chapter 105, entitled Fee Schedule, specifically 105-4A2, which amendments are as follows, with the words underlined to be added and those words stricken to be deleted. 57-20, Fees and Surcharges. Dog enumeration surcharge. Each dog found to be unlicensed after a published given date during a town dog enumeration shall be subject to a dog enumeration surcharge of $20 payable at the time of the application is filed to license said dog. 57-21, issuance of license identification tag. D, identification tag. 5. At the time a dog is first licensed, one identification tag shall be furnished to the owner at no additional charge. Any replacement tag shall be obtained by the owner at the owner's expense. Any person wishing to replace a tag previously issued shall pay the sum of $3 to the town clerk for a replacement tag. 105-4, Fee Schedule. A, Chapter 57, Animals. 2, Dog Enumeration Fee, $20. Be it further enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has determined that this action is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review, and be it further enacted that the legal notice of public hearing was posted on February 15th and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on February 16th, 2018, and be it further enacted that said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That comes to the end of our public hearings. We have a rather small agenda tonight. First one is appoint Ryan Clark, sewer maintenance mechanic. Second one is appoint Timothy Davison, sewer maintenance mechanic. 3 is voting town representatives to Dutchess County MS4 Committee. 8, Chief Ron Spiro to sign an agreement between the town and Officer Mullen. Authorize the supervisor to sign a consent order with the New York State Department of Public Service. 10, award the mowing bids for the Recreation Department, Town Hall, Police Station, and 44 and 55. 11, appoint members to the Fire Prevention Bureau. Next, appoint emergency management coordinator. Set a date for public hearing in Town Code Amendment, Chapter 154, plumbing. File notice of claim, Decker versus the town. And authorize legal special consent items, SC1, authorize police officer Terry Shepard to leave absence. SC2, appoint Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP for counsel in reference to a search warrant. At that point, I'd like to make a motion to open the floor for public comment on any town agenda item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody have any, Doreen, comment on any town agenda items? Come on up.
So I have a question on agenda item number 9, the consent order from the New York State Department of Public Service. So what prompted the consent order?
We called in a call order to dig, and we hit the wrong spot. We hit a gas main. So we went through their whole set of rules, regulations, what we had to do, and the final thing was the final verdict was we would be a zero fine, and they would just tell us we have to train our employees better. It really wasn't our fault as far as we were concerned.
So you called the number and they gave you the information?
Yeah, it had something to do with multiple addresses and multiple, codes and stuff. And when you called in during, you can only put in one address, and it was actually address and a half. It was over on Vassar's property, for Vassar property over there somewhere. So it was more of a mistake than anything. We had, the gas company was standing with us there when it went down. So I think that's why we got off so easy.
Okay, so there's no penalty other than
No.
it said they have to take employees have to be trained in
Yeah,
a class?
which they are now. Called in. The only thing we came out with is a phone call instead of trying to do it online because it didn't work that well.
Okay. And my other question is about number 8, authorize the police chief to sign an agreement between the town and Brian Mullen. So it appears that Brian Mullen is out on disability 207C, and he's seeking payments of vacation days, personal days, sick days, comp time, totaling about $10,300. And it says that the town is requesting him to return property that he has that belongs to the town. But the part I don't understand is, it says that Officer Mullen had turned in his service weapon to the department, but then it says, the town says that such weapon no longer exists in the possession of the department.
Doreen, before you go any further, we changed our guns, and in that process, his gun went goodbye.
So you need to, the town needs to pay him $200?
Because it's in the agreement, correct, Chief? Yeah, Chief will come, yeah. Doreen, we changed guns in the midstream, and his gun went out, but part of the agreement is they take their guns when they retire.
And the officer is no longer on 207C. He received his disability retirement back in December.
Okay.
All right, so this is money and items that would be owed to him per the contractual agreement with the PBA. And I don't know how much I can say, Jim, as far as, I mean, it's a personnel issue to the extent of we're trying to recover.
He was on 207C.
Yeah.
He qualified eventually for a disability retirement, which has taken place, and this is simply, as I view it, the cleaning up and documentation of items which are going to be returned to the town and monies which are owed contractually to him. I think it just simply documents the last of what I'd call the loose ends.
Right.
Okay, and the thing about the gun, it's because as part of his contract, he's
entitled to
allowed
the service weapon upon retirement,
Okay.
but we transitioned to new weapons, and we no longer had his weapon because they were traded in as part of the payment for the weapons we just purchased.
Okay, so he just gets $200 in
correct.
place of having his
That's correct. Yeah.
weapon when he retired. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Is there anybody else that would like to discuss any item on the agenda? If not, motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Ryan Clark to the full-time position of sewer maintenance mechanic for the Town of Poughkeepsie Sewer Department at the grade 6, step 1 salary of $21.53 per hour, effective immediately, which appointment is subject to probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law. And be it further resolved, the town supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this?
No, Ryan's here with us out
I'm
there.
going to acknowledge him.
Second amendment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome aboard, Ryan. You can acknowledge who you are there. Motion passes 7-0.
Resolution 6, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Timothy Davison to the full-time position of sewer maintenance mechanic for the Town of Poughkeepsie Sewer Department at the grade 6, step 1 salary of $21.53 per hour, effective immediately, which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Welcome aboard, Timothy.
Whereas the Dutchess County MS4 Coordination Committee consists of representatives from the designated MS4 jurisdictions within Dutchess County, and whereas the purpose of the committee is to foster the cooperation and exchange of information amongst the participating jurisdictions in the addressing issues of mutual concern related to compliance with the Phase 2 stormwater regulations, and whereas the town of Poughkeepsie recognizes that it's beneficial to its residents to promote the future health, safety, and general welfare of the town of Poughkeepsie by participating in the committee, now therefore be resolved that the town of Poughkeepsie appoints Supervisor John J. Baisley to represent the town of Poughkeepsie on the Dutchess County MS4 Coordination Committee, and be further resolved that the town of Poughkeepsie appoints Assistant Town Engineer Sean Crimmins as an alternate member of the Dutchess County MS4 Coordination Committee. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Resolved, the town board of town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized Chief Ron Spiro to execute a final property return payment agreement with the town of Poughkeepsie and Police Officer Brian Mullen, copy of which is attached hereto. So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second on that. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute a New York State Department of Public Service consent order pertaining to a notice of probable violation dated January 12th, 2017, and substantially the form attached. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Resolution 10, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby award the bids per the recommendation of the Recreation Director, Tom Marling, and next for the mowing of town parks, parks with athletic facilities, town buildings, and maintenance of the Route 9 and Route 55 medians as follows. Mowing of town parks to Empire Landscaping at a bid price of $38,976 per year for the years 2018 and 2019. Mowing of the parks with athletic fields to Greenway Property Services at the bid of $68,995 per year for the years 2018 and 2019. Mowing of town buildings to Tancredi Landscaping at the bid price of $8,900 per year for the years 2018 and 2019. Maintenance of the Route 9 and Route 55 medians to Tancredi Landscaping at the bid price of $19,000 per year for the years 2018 and 2019. Excuse me. And be it further resolved that the supervisor authorized to execute contract agreements with the above noted companies upon receipt of insurance certificate and security bonds. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Resolution number 11, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Matthew Wolliver and Jeffrey Ranahan to the Bureau of Fire Prevention for the term January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2019. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Jeffrey Renahan as the town's Emergency Management Coordinator as requested by the Dutchess County Department of Emergency Response. So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? This is just a new position the county asked us to appoint this year. It's the first time we've done it. With Jeff's experience, I think it's probably the perfect spot for him. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution 13, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby set the 7th day of March 2018 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, 1 Over Rocker Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, as and for the time, date, and place of a public hearing to consider amendments to Town Code Chapter 154 entitled Plumbing, specifically Article 4, Section 154-24, Use of License. A copy of the proposed amendment with the language to be added underscored and the language to be deleted stricken is attached hereto and incorporated herein, and the Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendment and does direct that the said amendment be spread across the record as if they in fact had been read verbatim. And be it further resolved that the Town Board does hereby waive the... we said that already. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does determine that this action is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review. And be it further resolved that said amendments, if adopted, will take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, number 14 is a claim of Decker versus Town. Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items to wit. 1, authorize Police Chief Derek Shepard
Police officer.
leave of absence. And 2, appointment Vanderwater LLP search warrant. And be further resolved that upon objection of any member of the Town Board, the item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Whereas Police Officer Tarek Shepard, who has previously been on military leave, has requested unpaid leave of absence retroactive to February 1st, 2018 through March 31st, 2018, subject to further extension by this board, all pending his clearance to return to duty. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby authorized this request for a temporary unpaid leave of absence retroactive to February 1st, 2018, and recognizes Officer Shepard's agreement that all department pay which he has been received while is receiving military pay during this leave will be reimbursed to the town. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Vanderwater and Vanderwater LLP as attorneys to the town at the hourly rate of $185 for partners, $155 for associates, and $80 for paralegals to apply for search warrants to enter 2 properties in the Town of Poughkeepsie where on information and belief there is probable cause to believe that there are violations of the town building and zoning laws. So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on that one. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We've come to the end of our agenda. I'd like to make a motion to open the floor for any items of discussion at all.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody that'd like to bring up any item in reference to the town at all? Doreen?
So I actually had a question on one of the committee meetings, so I wasn't sure is this the time to do that?
We're going to go on to that one, so you can ask now if
Can I
you
ask
want.
now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'd be asking Councilman Renahan, because he's the chair of that. So I looked at the meeting minutes for the February 2018 Fire Prevention Bureau minutes.
Okay.
And there's the first item discussed was fire safety and property maintenance inspections. And some of the options for that was listed as possibly hiring a part-time inspector. And it says that the revenue from inspections could potentially pay for the salary. Then the other one talked about possibly hiring part-time office help to schedule inspections. And the third one was the 3 town fire districts taking over the inspection program. And since I wouldn't have been able to comment at the fire prevention meeting anyway, because that would just be an observation, I believe, and no comment, I wanted to ask about that. So if the fire districts take over the inspection program, so New Hamburg, as far as I know, doesn't have any paid members. That would leave Fairview and Arlington as the other two fire districts. Now, Fairview Fire District, in my opinion, their chief keeps a pretty good check on overtime hours. I'm not confident that the Arlington Fire District would not be doing this on overtime and costing Arlington taxpayers even more money. So if the town can hire a part-time inspector, and that salary would pretty much be paid from the inspections, personally, I would rather see it done that way, if you would take that into consideration, because Arlington uses $60 an hour as their overtime base. So if you're going to have people from Arlington taking part in this inspection, I can pretty much think that it would be on overtime, and that would come at great expense, I believe, to Arlington Fire District taxpayers. So if you take that into consideration, and if the inspector can be hired and paid for from the inspection fees, well, I think that would be favorable to the taxpayers in the Arlington Fire District.
Doreen, as of now, we've met with the building department, and we're going to try to do it in-house. We've moved some staff around a little bit, so we're going to see if that works out first.
Okay,
Now
great.
we have a new zoning administrator. We're hoping that we can free up the one building inspector. So hopefully they can get some more inspections done. Tim's talked to the staff down there and said we will get out and do them. I've talked to Matt and Jeff both about that.
Okay,
So as of now, we won't be hiring anybody yet.
good to hear. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to discuss any town business at all? If not, motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
On to committee reports, or committee of the whole. Finance, Mr. Savone.
Nothing to report right now.
Fire advisory, Jeff.
There you go. Yeah, like I said, we had a meeting on the 6th, and we had 4 things that were brought up. Like I said, as Dorian was just talking about the fire safety inspections, those were just options that were thrown out there. And as the supervisor has mentioned, we found hopefully a fix for that. Like I said, shifting some of the personnel around in the building department, hopefully will correct that problem. Also brought up, Arlington Fire District had some concerns, some safety concerns, again, with Shady Brook Trailer Park, which, like I said, is still in the process with the building department currently. They also want to bring up the public education of carbon monoxide detectors in commercial dwellings, which is, like I said, a state law currently, as well as in the multifamily dwellings. And the last thing was just a nuisance alarm in one of the businesses in New Hamburg, which Lenny Splain took care of. It was just an issue with a flow switch, and everything was corrected there. That's all I have.
Thank you. Government operations?
We did have a meeting. I'm gonna let Councilwoman Shershwin update you on what we talked about.
Yeah, well, I also attended 2 conferences. The first one was the Bedford 2020, which was about solar power and environmental issues, and that basically the state has really gone into grants and programs, including climate smart communities and clean energy communities. And the governor has a new initiative called NY Solar, where he's put $1 billion in for grants. I believe it's for private people and commercial businesses to apply for solar power. So I think this is something we seriously need to look into and start moving ahead, because it's good opportunities for grants. It's also a good way for the town to save money. And then the second conference I went to was on road salt, which was really interesting, because they're talking about ways to reduce the use of road salt and the environmental impacts of road salt. Fortunately, in this area, we really haven't seen any negative effects yet, but they're still taking steps, which also saves money, to reduce the amount of road salt used, including brining and better blades. And we've already taken steps that we've got these smart spreaders that keeps track of where the road salt's gone and how much is applied and how much ice is on the road, so we're using less. So we've already started taking those steps. And I think that's about it.
We also do brining too. We do.
Yeah, and doing brining too.
Right. Land use and planning.
Nothing to report.
Personnel.
Nothing to report.
Recreation seniors.
Yes, well, we've also met, And one of the things we were discussing is dog parks. The dog park in the city has been well received and it's extremely well used. So we were going to open it up to the public to see if there's an interest here for the town to have dog parks. Yeah, and to please contact the rec committee. Go on the website, there's email addresses and phone numbers there, and let them know if this is something you're interested in and if you have an area you'd like to suggest for it. And we also talked about the capital projects that are going to be going down in the parks, and 5 of our parks are slated to get new playground surfacing, and 2 of our parks are going to get new backstops. And the summer camp. Registration begins March 1st, and the camp will once again be in Greenville Park. It starts on July 2nd, and we're still looking for staff. And like I say, if you're interested in having your children go to the summer camp, registration opens up March 1st, which is very soon. And then the annual Spring Festival Easter Egg Hunt, which is going to be held on Vassar College campus again, is April 7th. So please notice this is the week after Easter. Easter is so early this year that they opted to do this the week after. So it's going to be the week after Easter on April 7th. And the concerts begin on June 26th. And the things coming up for the seniors is they're having a St. Patty's Day party at noon on March 17th. So again, March 19th. That's 2 days after St. Patty's Day, so March 19th. And the only other thing is we have a regular column in Southern Dutchess News. So it's good too.
And you had your Valentine's Day dance, which was very well attended. They had about 130 seniors, Tom. It was packed house, and what I really liked to see was it was a different group. We have our normal group of seniors, there's a lot of different faces, which, as Tom said, in the last couple of weeks, we've had some different people signing up, which is a plus. Go ahead, right ahead, Jim, go on down and join them.
Oh. 2 of you that took a shot at me tonight, thank you.
Water, highway, and infrastructure.
Last month, the committee had its committee meeting at a work site over on Friendly Lane, where our sewer department had a demonstration of a pipe relining system. Our sewer pipes are in pretty bad shape, and on several areas, we have consent decrees requiring us to fix them. The ones in Spagankill, Ann's Ward have to be done by the end of this year, and then by the end of 19, we have a bunch of others in all the wards. Total mileage that has to be relined is 3,173 miles. The demonstration was of a relining machine, and there was the discussion as to whether or not we should buy one of these machines and do the work ourselves and try to save money that way. And then we got a price quote from an outside company to do the work of the relining. And there's a significant savings by having the outside company do it for us. So at the committee meeting today, the committee discussed all the different possible derivations and came up with the fact that it's probably in the best interests of the town to go ahead and do it with an outside vendor. And that would get us all done with all the items before the consent decrees expire. And the recommendation to the supervisor and to the board, which we'll have to deal with at a future time, is to go ahead and do that with the outside vendor.
I agree, it's out of our realm to do that. I talked to the engineer in length with the project that went on, and it's not something I think is in our purview to do. We have maintenance to do on a regular ongoing basis, and we have a lot of other items that need to be addressed. And the cost has gone down drastically over the last couple of years on this lining project. So to let somebody else do it and let them be responsible for all the pump arounds and everything else, I think it takes it out of a big chance of something going wrong, because that night was supposed to be an easy 8-hour project, turned into a lot more than 8 hours, and it turned out to cost a lot more than we thought it would have cost, and a $300,000 piece of equipment that we'd be sharing, I think, was definitely out of the realm for the staff we have. Their job should be maintaining the sewer department, not trying to repair the sewer department. So with that, I agree 100%.
The piece of piping that they relined off of Friendly Lane was approximately, 300 feet, 400 feet?
414.
414, thank you, Franco. 414 feet. If we had to do that the old way, that would have meant that we'd have to get a backhoe or an excavator in there, dig that entire trench up, pull the pipe out, and put a new pipe in. Relining that pipe is much better. Plus, while you're doing that, all the lateral lines off to the other houses, let's say we had to do it in a cul-de-sac, and there's 6 houses on the cul-de-sac. While they're doing this, those six houses have no sewer service. So doing it with the relining is quicker, less expensive, and better for the people in the town. So that's why I think this is a good idea. You'll see it at a future board meeting.
Anything else? No? With that said, I got a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. If anybody needs signatures, come up and see one of the board members, please.